other things during a BBC interview, which we will take a look at now.
We know that it has been a historical figure that has caused the black community quite a lot of angst over the last couple of years. So whilst I am disappointed that people would damage one of our statues, I do understand why it's happened. It's very symbolic. You might wonder why we didn't intervene and why we just allowed people to put it in the docks. We made a very tactical decision that to stop people from doing that act may have caused further disorder, and we decided the safest piece to do in terms of our policing tactics was to allow it to take place.
Should you have stopped this happening? Should you have protected the statue?
So our policing style was from the outset low-key. We were not able to get to the statue in time to protect it. And once it had actually been toppled, there was clearly a pre-planned attempt to bring that down. They had grappling ropes and they had the right tools. So once it was down, we made a decision. The right thing to do was just allow it to happen, because what we did not want is tension.
Some people will say that maybe that was the wrong strategy, that you should have intervened and challenged this behaviour.
So I understand why people might think that we should have intervened and challenged, but this was a very difficult policing operation. There's a lot of context that sits around it, and I believe we did the right thing.
No regrets?
No regrets.
Right, so let's take apart his first point there, claiming that this statue has been causing angst to the black community for the last couple of years. Considering it's been in the town for the past 100 or more, I wonder how it's only started causing them angst in the last few years. Oh, wait there, maybe I do know. Is that when all the propaganda started being pumped out? You know, when these organisations actually got formed. I would bet that has something to do with it. So it hasn't caused anyone angst over the last couple of years, it's just the activists pushing for it and moaning in his ear that has obviously forced him, like many old Bill, to bend the knee. I mean, it really makes you sick to hear a copper sitting there saying people shouldn't have done this, but I understand why they did it. Oh, so you understand why they broke the law. That means you therefore don't need to intervene because you understand and sympathise with them. That, my friend, is not how the law works, and you should bloody know that. The only shame I see here is the fact that you don't seem to understand what is in your job description and what the people of this country pay you to do. It would seem you have forgot what is in your job description and the fact that you're supposed to uphold the law. Last I checked, destroying public property was certainly against the law and therefore warranted the police trying to stop them from doing it, if not arresting them. But in Bristol, apparently that is not the case, especially if your protest is extremely virtuous. I have got to say though, I do love when he sits there and says, you may wonder why we didn't actually do anything, and it was a tactical decision. What tactical decision was that? To stand in the back with your finger up your ass doesn't seem like a very tactical decision to me. The crap that he is coming out with is absolutely incredible. Imagine being one of the top police officers in the area and coming out with that nonsense because you're too scared to take action against these so-called protesters. You even hear him talking about a pre-planned move to get the statue taken down, which shows there was a huge level of planning and preparation gone into this. That should really tell the old Bill they need to be stopping it, because if you allow it to happen here, as I've already said, it will only continue to happen elsewhere, which is something that they did attempt to do with the Churchill statue yesterday. People stood in front of them, the police moved them on. Luckily, they didn't actually pull it down, though they did graffiti it. But I find it amazing that he sat there and said, once it was down, we just left it as it was and let them do what they want with it. Throwing it in the river, possibly polluting it because we don't know what that thing was made of. It was made 100 years or so ago, apparently. Could have been made of absolutely anything and had anything inside it, if there is anything in it at all. So these activists have just pissed off a bunch of environmental activists, but you won't hear the police officer saying nothing about that because they're not in his ear threatening to call him a bigot. And towards the end, the BBC reporter points out that people would have expected you to actually do something about this, and the copper's response is truly incredible and shows that the Bristol Police Force is not the Bristol Police Force, it's actually the Bristol Police Farce. He said this was a difficult policing situation, which is absolute nonsense. It was an easy policing situation because you did absolutely nothing about it. You just sat there and watched them get on with it. That is not a difficult thing to do. And to top it all off, he literally says he doesn't regret it and would obviously do it again. What a complete snivelling shitweasel this guy is. And I'll tell you what, if I lived in Bristol, I'd be very worried about this police force's ability if these rioters decided to take it to people's houses or something like that. Because, given that interview there, this geezer is far too incompetent and sucking up to these idiots far too much to actually be able to protect the people he's paid to. Now,